There's an idea that's been making waves recently, and it comes from Mel Robbins. She calls it the let them mindset. And at first it sounds almost too simple. Let them. Let people talk, let people doubt you, let people walk away if they want to. Think about how much energy we waste trying to control the uncontrollable. We argue, we over-explain, we chase people who've already shown us who they are. And every time we walk away feeling drained, frustrated, and defeated. But why? Because we're fighting battles we were never meant to fight. You cannot control other people's actions, their choices, or their opinions. But you can control how much access they get to your peace of mind. And that's where the let them mindset becomes life-changing. Here's how it works. When someone doesn't call you back, let them. When someone doubts your dream, let them. When someone chooses not to treat you with respect, let them. Because the second you stop trying to force people to act differently, you set yourself free. You stop trying to rewrite someone else's script, and you finally start writing your own. See, most of us carry this invisible backpack full of other people's opinions. We walk through life weighed down by what they think, what they say, what they do. No wonder we're exhausted. No wonder we feel stuck. The let them mindset is about dropping that backpack and saying, I'm done carrying what doesn't belong to me. When you stop pouring your energy into what people should do, you reclaim that energy for what you can do. That's power. That's freedom. That's how you start creating a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. Now, this doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It doesn't mean you accept poor treatment. Boundaries are still important. Self-respect still matters. But instead of begging for someone to see your worth, you quietly decide you won't settle for less. You don't need to fight or convince. You simply let them. Think about how different your life could look if you truly lived this way. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you stopped explaining yourself to everyone. Imagine the peace you'd gain if you'd stop chasing after those who were never meant to go where you're going. Here's what happens when you embrace this mindset. The wrong people fall away, and the right people finally have room to find you. The noise quiets down, and clarity steps in. Instead of being drained by drama, you're fueled by purpose. Instead of being distracted by what doesn't matter, you're focused on what does. The next time someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't argue with it. Don't try to rewrite it. Just let them. Your time and energy are your greatest currencies. Every time you waste them trying to control others, you rob yourself of progress. But every time you protect your peace, you invest in your future. Mel Robbins gave us the words, but the power comes when you put it into practice. You get to decide to finally let go and live free. Once you embrace the let them mindset, you'll realize something beautiful. Peace doesn't come when people change. Peace comes when you stop needing them to. Let me know if this sounds familiar. You pick up your phone just to check the time. And before you know it, you've been scrolling for 20 minutes. Sound like you? Well, you're not alone. The outside world is designed to attract your attention. It's the dopamine hit. Every time you check your phone, there's a rush from your brain of excitement of what could be. And we don't even realize it's happening. We think we're relaxing, but how relaxed are you if your mind is racing and your eyes are blurry after a 20-minute session of scrolling? Your mind wasn't built for this much noise. You can't handle 500 opinions before breakfast, and your happiness is suffering behind that screen. So what can we do? Should we throw the phone away and live in isolation? Well, it's not really realistic, is it? But what is necessary is that we become more mindful of how we're using technology. Let's talk about a dopamine detox. We're not eliminating pleasure, but what we're going to do is rewire the brain so that you can enjoy the little things, like going for a walk, having a deep conversation, or finishing something that you're proud of. Here's how to start. Number 1, be honest about your habits. Be aware. How often are you checking your phone in an hour? How many times do you pick it up without even thinking about it? See, the key, the first step, is awareness of what you're doing. Second is schedule screen time breaks. For instance, first hour of the day, the last hour of the night, no screen time. Or even during the day, turning off notifications so you're not anticipating any whistles or bells going off. You'll be surprised at how peaceful that feels. Number 3 is replace the fix, don't just remove. If you're taking a break from your screen, fill it with something better, like reading a book, moving your body, having a conversation with a friend. Do something that feeds your soul. And number 4 is make boredom your friend. This might sound a little bit crazy, but this is where creativity comes in. When your mind is quiet, it's going to start to work for you, not against you. This isn't about perfection, it's about intention. You can still use technology, but it's on your terms, not on the algorithm. You're not weak for being distracted, you're human. The systems are designed to distract you, but now you know what's going on. Now it's up to you to make the change. And when you do, your focus improves, your sleep gets better, your mind gets quieter, your days get fuller even though you're doing less. This is the part of self-care that no one talks about. Self-care isn't just eating better and working out. It's about mindset, it's about mental health, it's about creating clarity versus chaos. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or you're just off a little, may not be you, it might be the screen. And maybe, just maybe, it's time for a reset. Because peace isn't found in more scrolling, it's found in presence. And that's something that self-doubt doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers when you look in the mirror and wonder if you're enough. It whispers when you have an idea but talk yourself out of sharing it. It whispers when you scroll through social media comparing yourself to everyone else and thinking, they've got something I don't. But you are not broken, you are not lacking, you are simply human, and self-doubt is a part of being human. The goal isn't to erase it completely. The goal is to not let it win. Because self-doubt doesn't leave on its own. You have to build your way out of it day by day, brick by brick, habit by habit. So let's talk about how. Let's talk about what you can do every single day to remind yourself that you are capable, you're worthy, and you are enough. Let's start with your mornings. Before the world has a chance to speak to you, you speak to you. Wake up and remind yourself who you are. This doesn't have to be fancy. It's just 1 minute in the mirror saying, I can do hard things. I am still growing. I've survived every tough day so far. This might feel silly at first, but repetition rewires the brain. And if you've spent years doubting yourself, it'll take daily truth to undo the damage. Next, move your body. Not for punishment, but for power. Doesn't have to be much, just move, stretch, walk, lift, dance. Movement reminds your brain that you're alive, that you're strong, that you're in control of something. Then do one thing that proves your effort. Self-doubt thrives in inaction, but confidence builds in motion. So even if it's tiny, do one thing every day that supports your goals. Write one paragraph, apply for one opportunity, practice for 10 minutes, clean one drawer. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is your showing up. Now remember, self-doubt is fueled by harsh self-talk. So every time you catch yourself thinking that I'm not good enough, answer back with, I'm getting better. You don't need to lie to yourself. You just need to speak with hope, not hate. I mean, you wouldn't talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself. So change the voice in your head because you hear it more than anyone else does. Another daily practice is surround yourself with truth tellers. That means real friends, people who remind you what you're capable of, not just when you win, but when you fall. You don't need a cheering squad, you need a team that holds you up and holds you accountable. And track your wins, not just the big ones, but the small ones, the ones no one sees. Keep a proof journal, write down one thing each day that proves you're making progress, even if it's slow. You know what? Especially if it's slow, because you're going to need the reminders. When doubt shows up, you'll have the evidence to fight with it. And finally, end each day with grace and gratitude. Don't beat yourself up for what you didn't do. Look at what you did. Self-doubt feeds on shame, so feed yourself with compassion instead. You're not behind, you're not failing, you're learning, you're growing. And you're still here, and that alone makes you stronger than you realize. Self-doubt doesn't vanish overnight, but it doesn't have to control your life. With the right habits, you don't just silence the voice, you rise above it. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be consistent. Remind yourself, you've got this, you can handle this, you're ready. There will be moments in your life when you feel tired, mentally, physically, emotionally. And when that exhaustion hits, your mind starts to whisper, maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe I'm not cut out for it, or maybe it's time to stop. But I want to remind you that there's a big difference between resting and quitting. Rest is part of the process. Quitting is the end of the process. We live in a culture that worships hustle. Push harder, grind longer, sleep less, work more. But that constant pressure to go, go, go leads to burnout, not breakthroughs. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause. Rest doesn't make you weak, it makes you ready. There is wisdom in taking a breath and stepping back and giving yourself space to recover and refocus. Whether you're building a business, training for a goal, healing from a loss, or just trying to make it through the week, rest is necessary. It's not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're human. The athletes who win championships, they don't train 24/7. Their bodies recover, they sleep, they eat well, they stretch. They rest because they understand that recovery is what allows for peak performance. But in life, people confuse fatigue with failure. They hit a wall and think it's over. Well, it's not over. You're just tired. So take a moment, breathe. Don't hang your head in defeat, because quitting is when you walk away from the dream. Resting is when you prepare to go again. There is no shame in slowing down. The only shame is in giving up on something that still matters to you. And I know what you might be thinking, but it's been so long, I haven't seen results yet, or it's not happening fast enough. Well, let me tell you, almost every worthwhile goal feels like that before the breakthrough. Every mountain looks highest right before the peak. Every person who's ever achieved something meaningful has had days when they doubted, when they stumbled, and when they needed to step away for a moment. But they didn't quit. They rested. Then they came back stronger. So ask yourself, are you actually done, or are you just tired? Because quitting is a permanent decision made in a temporary state. Rest, on the other hand, is a smart strategy. It allows you to come back with clarity, energy, and purpose. If you've lost your spark, don't panic. Doesn't mean it's over. Sometimes your light dims, not because it's gone, but because it needs time to be rekindled. So take a nap, go for a walk, journal, talk to someone, take a weekend off, unplug and reset. Do what you need to do. Then return to your vision with fresh eyes and a steady heart. You didn't come this far to walk away just because it got heavy. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. And you're not broken because you need a break. You're human. And here's the most important part. When you come back, don't carry guilt for needing the rest. Don't waste energy beating yourself up. The comeback is always stronger when it's fueled by self-respect, not shame. You've got more in you. First, honor where you are. Look at how far you've come. You've accomplished so much. Now is not the time to walk away. Rest, recover, because the journey's not over, and neither are you. Sacrifice is a word that makes people uneasy, because when we hear it, we think loss, of giving something up, of struggle. And because of that, most people avoid it. They resist the idea that success comes at a cost. They want the rewards without the trade-offs, the dream without the discipline. But here's the truth. Sacrifice is not about loss. It's about investment. Look at anyone who's ever achieved anything meaningful. They all had to make sacrifices. Athletes wake up before the sun rises, pushing their bodies past exhaustion while others sleep. Entrepreneurs skip the late-night TV shows, putting in the extra hours to build something of their own. Musicians practice for years before anyone even knows their name. None of them got there by doing what was easy. They got there by doing what was necessary. Sacrifice is not a punishment. It's the price of admission for success. If you want something great, you have to give up something lesser. That doesn't mean you have to suffer. It means you have to decide what matters most to you. Do you want the temporary comfort of staying the same, or the lasting fulfillment of becoming more? Because you can't have both. We live in a world that glorifies instant gratification. Everything is built for convenience, fast food, quick fixes, overnight success stories. But the real victories in life aren't instant. They take time. They take effort. They take sacrifice. And that's why so many people quit. They don't want to put in the years of hard work. They don't want to push through the struggle. They don't want to make the tough choices that success demands. But what they don't realize is that they're still making a sacrifice. Just the wrong kind. Because the opposite of sacrificing for success is sacrificing success itself. You either sacrifice for the life you want, or you sacrifice the life you want. It's that simple. Every hour spent scrolling through distractions is an hour that could have been spent building something real. Every unhealthy habit that feels good in the moment is a step further from the energy and strength you need. Every excuse made today is regret waiting to happen tomorrow. Sacrifice doesn't mean giving up everything. It means choosing wisely. It means delaying some pleasures so you can build something better. It means understanding that real happiness doesn't come from avoiding effort, but from conquering it. And when you embrace that, everything changes. When you see sacrifice as an opportunity, not a burden, you stop dreading the work and start respecting it. You stop looking at discipline as restrictions and start seeing it as freedom. Because discipline is what allows you to take control of your life, to shape your future instead of letting it be shaped for you. So ask yourself, what do you want? Not just in the next few weeks, but in the next few years. Not just what feels good now, but what will make you proud later. And then ask yourself, What are you willing to give for it? What distractions, what comforts, what excuses are standing in your way? Because the people who get what they want in life aren't lucky. They aren't special. They just made a choice. They chose to sacrifice what didn't serve them for what did. And when you do the same, if you commit, if you stay the course, then success isn't a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Whenever you want something big, something meaningful, a goal, a dream, a vision of a better life, at first it's exciting. You're fired up, ready to take on the world. And then reality hits. Obstacles show up. Progress slows down. It gets harder than you thought it would be. And in that moment, you start wondering, is this even possible for me? Well, imagine climbing a mountain. When you start at the bottom, it's easy to walk. The incline is gentle. You feel strong, energized. But the higher you go, the harder it gets. The air gets thinner. Your legs burn. Your body screams at you to turn back. Or what happens when you push yourself in the gym? Your body shakes, it burns, it resists. That's not a sign to quit. That's a sign that change is happening. Growth is happening. You're breaking through limits. But unfortunately, when the resistance hits, that's where most people stop. Right there, just before the peak, just before the growth. They tell themselves it's too much, that they've gone far enough. But what if they knew that just beyond that hardest stretch was the view they'd been chasing? What if they knew that the body they've always wanted was just beyond the pain they're avoiding? Most people quit before they see the results. They stop at the very point where they're about to make the breakthrough. They assume difficulty is a sign to stop. But like the saying goes, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would be in peak shape. Everyone would be financially free. Everyone would have the view. But they don't. Because the moment when things get tough, they back off. They convince themselves it wasn't meant to be. And that's why most people stay exactly where they are. But not you. You're here because something inside of you refuses to settle. You know there's more. And if you know there's more, then quitting isn't an option. That doesn't mean just blindly pushing harder. Effort's great, but on its own, it's not enough. You need to learn, adapt, and you need to adjust. Here's another line you should know. Where there's a will, there's a way. One strategy isn't working, well then try something else. If one door doesn't open, find another. Delays are not denials, and roadblocks are not dead ends. People get stuck because they think there's only one path to success. But there are always options. You just have to be relentless enough to find them. Achievers don't succeed because it's easy. They succeed because they refuse to stop. They figure out a way in spite of the obstacles and the cries to stop. And that's exactly what you're going to do. When it feels impossible, when frustration creeps in and you start doubting yourself, remember this. You're not struggling because you're failing. You're struggling because you're growing. Because you're doing something that most people aren't willing to do. Again, if it were easy, everyone would do it. But it's not easy, and that's the point. If you want the view, you gotta make the climb. If you want the body, you gotta do the reps. So keep going. Figure it out. Find a way. You'll be glad you did.